YouTube. Hey YouTube, MinnesotaEric. So today I am going to install a Dalton R3 clutch into my 2017 1000S. And I decided I'm going to make a video on this, even though there are a few clutch videos, because after looking at them, I realized, you know what, there really isn't a good one that takes you through all the steps. Specifically, I'm going to be installing, since this is a 1000S, a DUV P10RS clutch kit, and I am going with the stock settings for the stock wheels, as my wheels are still the stock 27-inch tires. I got different tires on there, but anyway, I use the stock wheel size. And the reason for that is I don't want to stress out the drivetrain, all the twiddly bits, the bushings, or the wheel bearings on having larger wheels that are going to cause me to have a more unsprung weight, which is going to make the suspension work poorer. And I like to fly on these trails, and frankly, is going to make the machine slightly wider, potentially wider, having to offset everything. And it's just not worth the extra maintenance in my mind. So I like the stock wheels, and I've got two sets of wheels that effectively run the stock side. And so for that reason, I am going to stick with the stock settings on the Dalton Clutch Kit. But what I want it to do is stop when you first take up that slack, where that ratcheting feeling that you have. And I really feel that there's a little bit more power to have out of the hole. And then I also feel that I don't like the as harsh of deceleration at the top end when you back off the throttle, and the Dalton fixes that while also maintaining much of the deceleration at slower speeds, which I really do like for a woods machine running around here in Paul Bunyan State Forest in Minnesota. All right, let's get at it. Okay, first things first, I'm going to move the vent to the whoops. Lefty loosey, righty tight. And I'm just gonna flex this up. Oh, seems to be I kind of found a home for it somehow. I don't know where. Maybe up there. There we go. I just need it out of the way. Then we've got a number of these plastic screws. There's one hiding back here. Here. Notice I haven't taken off the wheel. I've got a jack underneath this holding the rear tires off of the ground. As I remember, one of these is a pain in the hassle to spot. It's not this one. It's way underneath here. That one. I can't see because I just can't see it. I can't see it. Alright, in order to see it, you gotta get down on your knees. I went to go fetch a pad to stand me on. Years ago I had my ACL operated on it. I haven't been able to put weight on my knee ever since. That's the hard to get at one, as I recall. Ooh, get in there. Oh, come on. Alright. One more. On the bottom front. Okay, so we got this hose in the way. Let's get it out of the way. Now here's the pro tip, okay? Try to fold this thing in half to get it out, okay? Literally just flex the living tar out of it. Oh, I can't remember if the front comes off first. I guess the front, all right. Yep, all right, front comes off first, then the rear. If you don't know that tip, you can stare at that thing for some time. And I'm gonna, off camera, I don't think you can see these bolts, but I'm getting on all the way. Okay, you get your 15 millimeter out. And unfortunately, my little impact gun isn't strong enough for this, so I went and got an air gun. So there's your 15 millimeter bolt. So you can see the belts at the top of the sheaves here, and what we want to do is loosen this bad boy on up. There we go. And I find a not Polaris tool, just who makes this? Mayhew 481 USA 3/8 inch awl. It's an awl, okay? I find the awl is just a little bit more useful. So now you can kind of use that cute little cheap awl. Oh, that's the darn belt out. Oh, come on. Sometimes you gotta wonder, well, how does it even get cocked like that? Are you kidding me? There we go. Hey, these belts are directional. That's another thing. These belts are directional. Okay, so the writing on this one, the letters, if we're looking at it from the top side, you can see this. The number goes on the inside, okay? They're not directional when you first take them off or put them in, but they become directional. While you're there, this belt's probably got about 1,500 miles on it. Looks pretty good. So this is the secondary clutch, and it'll feel like a lot of times this part is stuck, but if you grab it from the back side and collapse it, the secondary clutch will come right off. So once you get the belt out of the way, just grab it from the secondary clutch, the back sheave, and it'll come right off. Okay, YouTube, I have got kind of a universal clutch puller laying around. I don't know who makes this thing. Who makes this thing? As soon as I get the nuts off. There are less putsy ones, let's put it that way. I don't need that nut. Who makes this one? It's a PU50518-2. Well, that makes a lot of sense. Yep. It's not knowable. It can't be known. Anyway, the dealio with this one is you got to make sure that you got a shaft that is skinny enough to get in here. I'm going to take up a little slack with a socket there. Where'd I go with that black? There we go. There's 4 screws. They are what, T25s, and they've got a little blue Loctite on them. So, or they got a little Loctite on them. So you want to hit them with the little. I got MAP gas here. Hit them a little again. And there is a spring behind this, and that's obviously why I'm using a spring compressor. Ah, it is blue Loctite. Okay. All right, now they're hot. All right, so now we back this guy off, and slowly but surely that spring is going to follow along. So that's how the spring compressor works. You see that? Isn't that just slick? But look, it probably says Snap-on or Mac on it. This looks like one of these industrial tools I got laying around. Alright. Okay, so this comes on up. And don't worry if this doesn't come up. It might be it might be stuck there. These are rollers. I'm going to replace these rollers with something better. And then there's a spring with a tang on it. Tang goes down, and then get all the crap that's on the inside of this thing that's been wearing away. On the inside of the back side of the half, there are 2 roll pins that hold these sliders in. I'm going to replace these sliders with rollers. And so I want to pound those pins out, partially out. Probably shouldn't do this on a flexible table. Probably should have this on a workbench, just saying. Let's go to the workbench. So I want to replace these sliders with a couple of rollers, some aftermarket rollers that do a better job, and they are retained by a couple of roll pins. And so I'm going to use a 1/8 inch roll pin drift to pop it out. And if you can see that, it's got a little crown on there, so it hangs on the center part of the roll pin. Oh, there's one. Well, all right, there's all the way out. All right, fair enough. Okay, now if your pins don't want to come out, like mine don't want to come out, then put an 11/16 inch wrench, probably a 16 millimeter might do it too, but and put a little pressure on the back side of this thing with a screwdriver. Start walking these things on out. It's a little fiddly. Be patient. You can use a vise if you want to. Or a third hand if you got it. See what I'm doing there? It's slowly coming out. Here's the pinhole. There we go. All right. Repeat for the other side. Ooh, this one's coming out much easier. All right. I expected them to fall out, but they didn't want to do that. So I'm going to be replacing these stock Polaris rollers with aftermarket rollers, which are more round and chalky. And I'm going to make sure I got the right ones. The old style had a notch in them. These are flush, so okay. Fine. And the new ones, ooh, they came with new roll pins. How precious is that? Now they're, okay. Something to be aware of is that the flats line up with the hole. There's a flat that I was running that 11/16 inch wrench on, and it's lined up with the hole. So we're gonna We'll use our, if we can, our 1/8" pin to line up the hole. All right, I'm doing everything kind of offhanded for some reason. There we go. There we go. Sweet. All right, that one's in. Okay, so once you've got one of these in here, then there's an X here, and there's an X here. Line up the X's. If you don't want to do that, then use a, before you take this thing apart, put a reference line on it. Now the other side's going to be a little harder, because, well, we got to work through this Chevy hole. I'm going to get a flashlight so I can see better. I'm going to take my glasses off again so I can see what's going on. And what I'm trying to do here is stop when I see the hole is aligning. When Jupiter isn't aligned with the sunset. That looks like a home run there. It's all fiddly. My suggestion is you try not to drop this. Oh, you know what? Where's that other pin punch? If I can get it. Kind of started. This is why you don't want to pull them all the way out, because it is fiddly getting them started again. You know what I mean? Well, anyway, you're seeing it if you do pull them all the way out. Here's what you got to do. And then you pound them in until they're flush. You see that? Till they're flush. Till they're flush. And so there, right, so that's the modification we had to do there. All right, so the Dalton kit comes with a plastic bag filled with goodies. And we're interested in two of them. One is this spring, which again goes, we're replacing the factory spring, but there's a washer that goes on top of that. All right, so the kit comes supplied with a shim, a bushing surface. That's going to go on top here, and the idea is that as this springs down, it allows that spring to move a little smoother. So isn't that just trick? Next thing, you drop in your spring, line it on so that the tang is captured. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a tang there that's captured, okay? And then you're going to drop in the supplied spacer onto the roller assembly. Actually, this might be easier to do it this way. There, now it's all kind of there. Okay, now the fiddly thing is, you see this X, there's also an X here, and those X's have to be lined up. All right, X on X. There. That makes much more sense. Now we got to get our compressor thingy down here. And if you're thinking like me, you're thinking 2 sockets are probably better than 1. Let's grab another big socket. Less bed spinnies that way. Kind of trying to pre-align this. It's not quite coming down straight, but we'll figure it out. You want to leave this sort of loose so that you got some room to put in your screws. Put a little tab on there. All right. We just want to get these things started. We don't want to start cranking them down. We want to start them by hand. Don't use a power tool. We're going into aluminum. You want to have feel that by hand, the goodness of starting the threads on your own. Okay, now here's where we can start using our impact gun. And I'm sure there's a torque on this, but again, the lowest setting. And I'm not doing home runs all the way. Just kind of sucking it down. That one felt like it started at the bottom. All right. Remove the tool. You can do this by hand, but you're going to be fighting, okay? I highly suggest if you've got, I mean, you might be able to work this out with a press too if you've got a press. I just so happen to have this kind of universal tool. Oh, you mean I didn't record that? Oh. Okay, so I'm kind of running out of light. So here comes one of my Nemo lights. Let's see where can I shine at. That's pretty good there. So you get out a 21mm socket. Lefty loosey, righty tighty kind of a thing. Great size, yeah. Pull this crazy thing out, and if you got like me, you've got a tool for popping this clutch off. There it went. I'll leave a description down in the description. I'll leave you where you can get this tool. Technically, you can do everything I'm doing on the cart, but it sure is a heck of a lot easier to do it on a bench. So it's just easier to pop the clutch off. Okay, YouTube, so this gets a little weird. Everything's metric on this thing, on this Polaris, but this is 3/8 inch. There is a small spring underneath this, so push down. No, oh, come on. Of course. waiting for it to go flying. Oh, come on. I know what's going to happen. I know what's going to happen here. It's going to go flying. All right. I am putting these bolts partially back in because, frankly, when it goes flying, I don't want it to go flying. Know what I mean? Oh, hey, mark your parts. So here I've got an alignment mark. Oh, for crying out loud, what's going on here? Oh, it's starting to move a little bit on that side. What the heck? Starting to move there a little bit. Starting to move there a little bit. I don't know if it's moving at all now. There. Rodent. Crying out loud. Okay. Yours might be like mine where I don't want to come apart. Little. There we go. All right. That's not supposed to happen, but it does. Know what I mean? Hey, if you didn't mark it, I will show you this. There's an X on the top. This is for balancing purposes. On one of these things, there'll be another X. This is hard to see, but there is an X right there. You see it? And they've got a mark from the factory on there showing that. Why is this thing so stuck in there? I don't know. But anyway, that's one of the springs we're going to be changing out. And then... Is that a boat going by or a car coming up the driveway? It's a boat. V8 boats can sound like cars. Okay, so what do we got? 1/8 inch Allen. Get in there. And a 3/8 inch socket. Hopefully you can see that there. And take off the nut. Take out the screw, and of course the screw is feuding against me. Remember, this is a used clutch. Off of my machine, which is, I don't know, I'm guessing I got 187 hours on it. I don't know how many miles that is. Okay, so since I'm having a hard time getting this screw out, putting a little drift on it. Well, my pinhole punches, 5/32 inch pinhole punch is what I'm using, so I can extract the stock throughout. Wait, now here's where it gets a little different. The instructions for stock 26-27 inch wheels on the 1000S suggest that you should put in 2 of the long weights, and you screw these long weights in until they bottom. So they go in for a ways. I'm trying to hold it so that you can see what I'm doing here. There's a little bit of drag torque. They've got a thread locker that creates some drag torque on here, so these things aren't going to fall out. And you screw the first one in until you start to get bored. So they supply you with this little T-handle Allen. So there's one. And it's just a little easier for me to hold this thing, the way I'm holding it, to get it in. And I imagine bottoming this out, you go snug, not tight. And the instructions say just run these things down until they bottom. And they come with a bunch of longs and a package of 4 shorts. And this is for tuning for different size tires and altitudes for riding conditions. So they want to grab as we go up in altitude, the engine isn't going to make as much power, so they can take advantage of that in the clutch by having the clutch engaged different, which is actually pretty marvelous when you think about it. That's pretty cool. They also come with a bunch of different weights, and I believe I'm supposed to use the lightest weight. So let's see here. Yeah, most applications, all 26 and 27 inch tires, screwing into these things. And what we have here is use the 0.85 gram aluminum rivets. And so I got 1.89 grams. I got 2.4 grams, and then I got 3 8.5 grams. So those are the aluminum rivets I am after, is the 0.835 grams. All right. Dump those out right there. All right. Then, secret sauce time. I'm putting 2 little hashtags in paint. Oh, showing that indeed I put two weights in. See if I can't save myself a little bit of time. Okay, where's my paint pen? There we go. One and two. Okay, now we've got to install the rivet. The rivet is just a crush type. The only thing to be known about this is that you have to crush it thinner than the leading edge of the weight. So if there's any doubt, put a micrometer on there. So after pressing in the rivets, pressing or hammering, however you do it, I did a combination of both. There are 6 little cute little washers, and they are specifically designed to shoulder on each side of the throwout. Okay, thought I'd give you a little different angle here. So you slide the bolt in, get your washer on here, get your weight approximately in there, start it sliding. And here comes the tricky part. All right, we got it. Starter, our nut, and it's got it's a locking style nut. There you go. One more to do. That is if I can get my oh, this one's also stuck. See what I'm doing here? Look at all that good rust. That's from Minnesota swamp water, man. Go into the bunion. We got all kinds of puddles. I try to avoid them, because the thing about swamp water, it's not pleasant to sniff. All right, so we remove our final weight. We stick this guy back in here. We capture that first one. Here comes Buddy Boo. He wants to tell me about something, mostly about ball throwing, I'm sure. Uh-oh. There we go. Oop, too far. Just right. And then I hear vacationers going by having fun. There we go. Here's the play I was talking about. We got all three installed. Wow. Here we have a black with red. And we're sticking in an orange with yellow springy thingy. Seems to me I want to put a spacer in on this thing. Yes, I do. So last year I blew out a belt chasing after the Ojibwe rally points to see the next rally point. I was pretty much going flat out, and I tore teeth off my Gates belt. Well, Hunterworks has pointed out that the Gates belts are like 1/8 inch too short. And the solution for that is to start stacking up washers so that when this sheave opens up, the back sheave, the rear primary sheave, doesn't open up to the point where it allows that belt to bottom out on the rear deal. So this sheave will tighten up, and then it'll force the rear sheave to open up, and it puts, anyway, long story short, this limits this guy from pushing the belt. It might limit the top speed a little bit, but if it doesn't fry belts, in the process. I'm happy with it. Now we also have a reference mark. Let us find our reference marks. Here we go. We are referenced. Spring goes in. Spring goes in. Okay, and then we use harsh language to push down on this dang thing, and we get some bolts out. And as we recall, that was 3/8 inch. Pick this darn thing up a bit. There we go. All right. Lift up from the bottom while you push down from the top. It becomes way easier. I don't know why my solar sockets are all slipping. I never use them with an impact gun. Put Mr. Primary Clutch on. Hopefully you can still see. This is a press fit, which when this is torqued to, what is it, 96 foot-pounds, properly presses this on. Okay, so before I torque everything down, I'm going to put the belt on. Now, these belts take a set, okay? So I know that my lettering, my numbering went in this orientation. So I want to sneak this belt around the primary clutch, and you're going to flex the inner clutch housing a little bit. Okay, so I popped on my belt while you guys weren't looking at where I was going to video it, but it turned out to be a bunch of grunt work, and I'm like, I needed both hands to get in the way. So anyway, so this gets torqued to 96 foot-pounds, and we're really going to torque that. I'm just putting that on there for right now. So we're trying to go 55 psi, or 55 foot-pounds of torque, and we'll try to jam this hammer up there. So there we go, 55 right there. Now we got 96 foot-pounds of torque. Think it'll work again? No. Oh, might work this time. I gotta put some weight behind this. Alright. That's how we torque things. Now I gotta get my blasted hammer on there. Come on. Hey, that might be a little homerish, but you know, worked. Okay. Seems to me the front has to go on first. And then you torque the living snot out of everything. Oh, come on. Where are we with? Oh, we're so close. I sense the closeness of it. Now I just gotta get the hose on. There we go. Yeah. All right, done deal. Well, I'm going to leave it up though, because I want to change oil. I assume everybody knows how to change oil. You don't need to see that. It's still recording. That's okay. We're gonna speed right through this section. Gal, I should have put 2 sockets on.
Nice top down.
Sure.
Think you're gonna get off now.